John Cleese did an oopsie. He dared offend the diversity gods. Some years ago I opined that London was not really an English city anymore. Since then, virtually all my friends from abroad have confirmed my observation. So there must be some truth in it. I know also that London was the UK city that voted most strongly to remain in the EU. This is a reiteration of Cleese's previous 2011 comments when he said that London was the most cosmopolitan city on earth, but that it doesn't feel English. I mean, I love having different cultures around, but when the parent culture kind of dissipates, you're left thinking, well, what's going on? Sounds pretty racist to me. I mean, it's not like white British people are a minority in London and have been for years. It's not like over 41% of London's population is foreign-born. It's not like London has the second highest foreign-born population out of any city in the world. London is clearly the most English city you could imagine. Left-wing comedian Dom Jolly bravely risked the fawning NPC adulation of absolutely everyone in his industry by condemning Cleese. It is basically a very racist tweet. Secondly, it's a racist tweet by a man who lives on a Caribbean island. The irony of that is insane. And to his credit, Dom Jolly is an authority on racism because he lives in one of the most diverse communities in the entire UK. The Cotswolds, which is only 95% white. The irony of that is insane. But apparently Cleese's opinion is completely invalidated because he moved to the Caribbean. That's right, John Cleese is so racist that he chose to move to an area of the world that's full of black people, about whom he said, quote, "The relationship between the races is absolutely superb. The people there are really kind." Have you ever heard such flagrant racism? Meanwhile, the diversity-loving anti-racists chose to live in the whitest areas possible and virtue signal about how much they love non-white people from the comfort of their Aryan countryside ethno-state strongholds. But John Cleese is the racist, and he's a hypocrite, because he followed through on his conviction that London was a shithole by moving out of London. What a hypocrite. Mr. Part and Parcel chimed in. These comments make John Cleese sound like he's in character as Basil Fawlty. Londoners know that our diversity is our greatest strength. We are proudly the English capital, a European city, and a global hub. Precisely. I mean, diversity is such a strength in London that Somali parents are sending their kids back to Africa because it's becoming so violent.
She said to me, now that my son is in Africa, I sleep better at night.
But then again, it's unfair to blame knife crime on diversity, given that only 73% of offenders are non-white. I mean, if it was 100%, maybe, but a mere 73%? That's only 3/4. A tiny minority. And of course diversity is a strength. That's why, in order to establish such a self-evident truth, they need to resort to threats of career ruination, social ostracization, and prison time for any heretic who dares question the sacred mantra of multiculturalism. That's why the British Army is putting out leaflets saying that anyone who complains about the loss of British identity is a right-wing extremist, because they're that secure in the belief that diversity is such an obvious strength. Diversity is such an obvious strength that Labour MPs tell grooming gang victims to shut up for the sake of diversity. Diversity is such an obvious strength that councils across the country deliberately ignored the industrial-level sex trafficking of children and young girls for the sake of diversity. Diversity is such an obvious strength that a rail company removed every Morrissey poster throughout its network because one person complained about Morrissey having once said similar things to John Cleese. Diversity is such an obvious strength that the oldest record store in the world banned sales of Morrissey records because Morrissey once said similar things to John Cleese. That's how diversity works. So yes, John Cleese is obviously a racist bigot, living on his Caribbean island surrounded by black people who he describes as kind and superb. Such an obvious racist. And you know that's true because all these left-wing celebrities living in their white ethno-state bubbles, parroting progressive talking points in complete obedience to the ruthless ideological conformity of their industry, said so. It's absolutely crucial for us to stay in touch that you subscribe to my free newsletter right now at summit.news/newsletter. Link in description.